Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we diving deep into one of the most pivotal moments in the Old Testament, the incredible story of Moses at Mount Sinai. It's a tale of divine revelation, human weakness, and second chances. So, grab a seat, and let's get into it. 3 months after their miraculous escape from Egypt, the Israelites arrived at the foot of a majestic, imposing mountain in the Sinai wilderness. They set up camp, a sea of tents against the stark desert landscape. God had a special plan for this place and for his people. He called Moses, their leader, to ascend the mountain. As Moses climbed, the ground seemed to hum with a sacred energy. At the summit, amid swirling clouds and flashes of light, God spoke to him. He declared that if the Israelites would obey his voice and keep his covenant, they would be his treasured possession, a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. Moses returned to the people and relayed God's message. With one voice, they all responded, their words echoing through the valley, "Everything the Lord has said, we will do." They were ready, or so they thought, to enter into the sacred agreement. God then instructed Moses to have the people consecrate themselves for 2 days. They were to wash their clothes and prepare their hearts. He set a boundary around the mountain, warning them that no one, not even an animal, was to touch it, or they would surely perish. The mountain was about to become a holy ground, a place where heaven and earth would meet. On the morning of the 3rd day, the air grew heavy. A thick cloud descended upon Mount Sinai, pierced by flashes of lightning. The sound of a trumpet grew louder and louder, and the entire mountain trembled violently. The people, watching from the camp below, were filled with awe and terror. From the heart of the fire and smoke, God called out to Moses, summoning him once more to the summit. Leaving the people with his brother Aaron, Moses ascended into the cloud, into the very presence of the Almighty. For 40 days and 40 nights, Moses remained on the mountain, receiving God's laws and instructions. It was here that God, with his own finger, inscribed the stone tablets with the 10 Commandments, the moral foundation for his people and for generations to come. These commandments were simple yet profound: to worship God alone, to honor his name, to keep the Sabbath holy. They taught respect for parents, and forbade murder, adultery, theft, and lying. The final command cut to the heart, forbidding the coveting of anything that belonged to a neighbor. These weren't just rules, they were a blueprint for a just and righteous society, a guide for living in relationship with God and with one another. But down below, in the valley, the people's faith began to falter. Day after day passed, and Moses did not return. The silence from the mountain grew deafening. Fear and impatience started to creep into their hearts, like a desert weed. They began to murmur among themselves, their whispers growing into a chorus of doubt. Finally, a group of them, agitated and restless, gathered around Aaron's tent. They were convinced something had happened to Moses. "Come, make us gods who will go before us," they demanded. "As for this fellow Moses, the man who brought us up out of Egypt, we don't know what has happened to him." Their memory of the miracles in Egypt and the awe-inspiring display on the mountain was fading fast. Aaron, overwhelmed by the pressure and perhaps fearing for his own safety, made a catastrophic decision. "Take off the gold earrings that your wives, your sons, and your daughters are wearing, and bring them to me," he told them. The people eagerly complied, stripping themselves of their precious jewelry. Aaron took the gold, melted it down, and fashioned it into the image of a calf. He built an altar before it and made a shocking proclamation: "These are your gods, Israel, who brought you up out of Egypt." The very next day, they held a festival. They rose early, offered sacrifices, and then indulged in revelry, eating, drinking, and celebrating before their lifeless idol. They had broken the first and most important commandment before the tablets had even reached the camp. Up on the mountain, God saw the betrayal. He told Moses what was happening below, his words filled with righteous anger. He declared his intention to destroy the rebellious people and to make a great nation from Moses instead. But Moses, in an incredible act of intercession, pleaded for his people. He reminded God of his promises to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He begged God to turn from his fierce anger and to have mercy. And because of Moses' passionate plea, God relented. With a heavy heart, Moses descended the mountain, the 2 stone tablets in his hands. Joshua, his attendant, met him partway down, hearing the noise from the camp. As they drew closer, the scene came into view: the golden calf, the altar, the people dancing and singing in wild abandon. Moses' anger burned. He threw the stone tablets to the ground. and they shattered at the foot of the mountain, a powerful symbol of the covenant the people had just broken. He seized the golden calf, burned it in the fire, ground it into a fine powder, scattered it on the water, and made the Israelites drink it. It was a bitter lesson. Moses confronted his brother. "What did these people do to you, that you led them into such great sin?" he demanded. Aaron, full of excuses, tried to shift the blame. He spoke of the people's inclination toward evil and claimed the calf had just emerged from the fire. Moses then stood at the entrance to the camp and made a call to action. "Whoever is for the Lord, come to me." The Levites, his own tribe, rallied to his side. Following God's command, they went through the camp, executing about 3,000 of the primary instigators of the rebellion. It was a terrible but necessary judgment to purge the evil from their midst. The next day, a somber mood fell over the camp. Moses told the people they had committed a great sin, but he would go back up the mountain to try and make atonement for them. Once again, he stood before God, this time not as a leader, but as a humble intercessor. He offered to have his own name blotted out of God's book if it would mean forgiveness for his people. God, however, affirmed that only the one who has sinned will be blotted out. But he also showed mercy. He promised that his presence would still go with them to the promised land. Then, God commanded Moses to chisel out 2 new stone tablets, just like the first ones. Moses was to return to the mountain peak, alone. Once again, he ascended into the divine presence. God descended in a cloud and passed in front of Moses, proclaiming his own name and character. The Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. God renewed his covenant with Israel, promising to perform wonders they had never seen before. And for another 40 days and 40 nights, Moses remained on the mountain without eating or drinking, as God reinscribed the 10 Commandments on the new tablets. When Moses finally came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the covenant law, something was different. His face was radiant, glowing with the divine light from having spoken with the Lord. The people, including Aaron, were afraid to come near him. Moses had to call them forward. He shared with them all the commands the Lord had given him on the mountain. From that day on, whenever he spoke to the people, he would put a veil over his face to hide the radiant glory. But when he went in to speak with the Lord, he would remove it. The story of Sinai is a powerful reminder of God's holiness, his desire for a relationship with his people, and his incredible grace. It shows us the fragility of human faith and the profound depth of God's mercy and willingness to offer a second chance. The broken tablets were replaced, the covenant was renewed, and the journey to the promised land continued. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as moving as we do, please hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you in the next video.